Mike here.
Mike Shepherd.
Guilty as charged.
Don't touch anything. I'll be there in a bit.
Shepherd.
Field Crime Inspector, yeah.
Coming to Brokenwood. Should we be honoured or worried?
Murder, mayhem and TV magic.
Do you always talk to the deceased?
80% of all homicide victims know the
identity of their killer?
For a decade, the Brokenwood mysteries have gripped millions of viewers around the world, from Aotearoa to Africa and America.
I figured you out.
Well, you've succeeded where so many ex-wives didn't.
So many.
Hey.
How many have you got?
This rich vein of classic Kiwi humour, along with gentle but twisted murders, pulsates on screens in 150 countries, has won multiple national and international awards, and starred almost every major actor in the Kiwi acting Bible.
Never phone, you never write.
Guess I'm on Brokenwood time.
Its timing, it seems, is perfect. It's defying the odds, not only surviving but thriving in a brutal, dying industry.
After providing daily news for almost 35 years, 3 looks set to lose News Hub Live at 6.
Fair Go, the longest-running TV consumer program in New Zealand, flagship current affairs show Sunday and late news bulletin tonight are all facing an uncertain future.
We're eradicating in the next few weeks some of the biggest TV shows that we make in New Zealand about New Zealand.
But little old Brokenwood seems to be, once again, pushing against the trend, and more people watched it on linear TV than have ever watched it before.
Kia ora, I'm Amanda Gillies, and today on The Detail, the phenomenal success of the Brokenwood Mysteries. It's now been 10 years since it premiered on Kiwi television, and filming for season 11 is well underway. So why, with little fuss and drama, is this murder mystery series bucking industry trends?
I'm Tim Balme. Do you want to know what I do?
Well, this is the thing. I want to know what your official title or titles are for Brokenwood, because there seem to be quite a few.
Yeah, well, so I'm Tim Balme, and I am the producer and the head writer of the Brokenwood Mysteries.
Fantastic. Now, I want to talk about Brokenwood because it's been 10 years since Brokenwood premiered on Prime TV. In your wildest dreams, Tim, when this premiered, did you ever have the expectation of where it's ended up?
Absolutely not. When we put this show to air, honestly, I thought it would be one and done. You know, it was a period of time in New Zealand television where we were kind of making a series and then it would not get renewed, and you would try something new and that wouldn't happen. It was quite after the long run of Outrageous Fortune, things weren't so consistent. So I just expected that would be the fate of the Brokenwood Mysteries. I didn't have any indication that this would become a decades-long kind of crusade.
Ridiculously successful, but was it an immediate yes to work on the show? Because my understanding is you don't even watch murder mysteries yourself.
No, I'd never had. Was it an immediate yes? It was because I had actually been part of the development of the project in its very early stages when I was working as the head of development at South Pacific Pictures. And then I'd left that job I'd done 3 years there, and I just wanted to get back into sort of freelancing and stuff. And then this project, which had been put in the bottom drawer for a variety of reasons, got pulled out because Prime TV said, we want a murder mystery like Midsummer Murders. Why don't you have something like that? And we pulled this out and said, well, you mean something like this? And then I did some work on the script, and they liked it and put it into production. So it was just I thought, yeah, let's do this, and I'll learn about the genre as I go, because I have no idea what murder mysteries are about. And I think in some ways that was a kind of bit of a blessing, because I wasn't trying to emulate anything. I was just following my instincts, and perhaps that's why over the years it's become this kind of hybrid thing, because I didn't know what I was doing.
You're a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Why do you think it works though? Why has it been so successful?
Well, it's been successful because it's sold overseas in ways that no other New Zealand drama ever has. And so that's the reason for its success, is that it's like a self-sourcing pudding, we make it sells, so we get to make more. It's a self-funding exercise. That's very unique. That hadn't really happened before in New Zealand television, as far as I'm aware. So the success of it in terms of selling is why it's had such longevity to date. The reason it started selling, I think, was we simply were at the time, and you've got to go back 10, 11 years now and go, murder mysteries, from my understanding, were either from the UK or American procedurals, which were more sort of the CSI, in one of those ones.
Too many letters.
Too many letters, can't remember. They had their own sort of distinct style. We kind of put this thing out into the world, which was unique because it's from a New Zealand Aotearoa filter, and the overseas audiences took a shine to it. They went, we haven't seen anything like this. This is different. These people speak funny. They have a weird sense of humour. These murder mysteries are not traditional because the writer obviously doesn't know what he's doing. And that was the success of it. It just happened to be the right thing at the right time for an international audience.
I think you've got 150 countries it's been screened in, which is huge.
Yeah.
Have you had to change the show to cater for that, or do you stay sort of true to authentic New Zealand?
No, good question. Absolutely no. That's the reason, by not changing, because it was never intended for an overseas audience. It was made to, because it was initially New Zealand on air funded. We were here to make a show for New Zealanders to watch, and that's all we were trying to do. And I think that being true to that is what, for some reason, it was a bit of a zeitgeisty thing for an international audience. They seized upon that. And I'm always checking myself, going, we can't start writing to please them. They're already pleased, so just keep doing what we do. And for that reason, I think one of the interesting things about the show is we use Te Reo in the show, throughout, in a very casual way, but we don't translate it. We don't put up any subtitles. We just say, these people are saying these words, the context will explain it, and if you're really interested, you'll probably Google it and figure out and start learning Te Reo in Finland or Latvia or wherever it is that you are watching from.
I love that so much. So huge with international audiences. What about Kiwi audiences? Are they getting it? What about linear, digital, online? What are your numbers?
Well, this is the nuts thing. This is the crazy thing. And it really, funnily enough, this is year 10 that it's just... So we've just screened season 10 on TVNZ. And the numbers that were watching it were through the roof. They were numbers like we haven't seen... Oh, I sound like Donald Trump. Well, numbers like you've never seen before. They were numbers like we've never seen before.
I'm a little bit scared right now, Tim.
Oh, so obviously I'm lying, right? No, they were really, they were huge. They were growing. And, we are in this climate at the moment where everyone's worried that linear TV is a thing of the past. And to an extent, for certain programs, I think it is. It's changing fast. But little old Brokenwood seems to be, once again, pushing against the trend, and more people watched it on linear TV than have ever watched it before. So I'm delighted in that. Particularly it was season 10. It was a bit of a celebration for us, and they came in big numbers. So TVNZ were very, very happy with that.
Oh, I bet they are, because the reality is we've had a brutal time in our industry. News Hub's just gone, TVNZ's cut major shows. Just as someone who works in the industry, your reaction to that and the impact that's having?
Well, the impact is palpable around, because we're a small industry, right? Whether you're working in drama or news journalism, we all know each other somehow or have worked together in some capacity, or the crews have. So it's been a very, I'd use the word emotional year, because a lot of things that, shows like Fair Go and Sunday, programs like that have, and let alone the whole of News Hub, but when those things disappear, it's funny. I was watching No, I wasn't watching. I was part of producing a documentary with my wife, Katie Wolf. It's called The Haka Party Incident. And we were using a lot of archival footage. And there's amazing footage of programs like Frontline and Eyewitness from the 80s where we were finding really important material to put in our documentary about, a very significant historical event. And we turned to each other one day and went, that's not going to be being captured at the moment. In this part of our history, no one's going to be making those shows right now. And that is, it was a very visceral moment where we went, what's gone wrong here? So that was, we were finishing that documentary at the same time as this stuff was happening around us. And we were going, I don't think people quite understand the importance of this. And they may not until sometime in the future when there'll be like a hole in our television journalistic vault, if you like.
Does it make you feel nervous or vulnerable? Do you feel like it's going to filter down into Brokenwood, or do you feel a little bit safe in your bubble right now?
Well, so we're talking about television, safe. Those two words. No, they don't. But as I mentioned before, Brokenwood is unique in that we don't rely on any public funding. We sell enough of the show to pay for the next season. And in that regard, as long as we keep making it and people are still enjoying it around the world, we'll be able to keep going. And it's one of those shows, and it's really important to remember that the only reason the Brokenwood Mysteries exists is because Prime TV commissioned it 10 years ago, and New Zealand On Air backed it. And for 6 seasons, we had public support. And after that, New Zealand On Air had a very clear rule, which it had applied it before, which is, well, after 6, you got to either sink or swim, right? And we were fortunate to be able to fly even, like a flying fish, maybe. But so we've proved that model of initial public support to grow a product that can then support itself, that's a success story. And the reason that we are carrying on is only because we had that initial support. And I think it's really important that the public understand that too, because they're enjoying the show in record numbers as we talked about, but it was with public support that it began.
How many more seasons do you think you have left in you?
Well, we're filming season 11 now, and that's right, we celebrated. So the episode 2 of season 11 happened to be our 50th episode, our 50th telefeature. So I made a point of, telling the crew and saying, and I think we even had a cake or something. Big budget stuff. And and our executive producer, Kelly Martin, said, well, we're halfway. Yes. So yes, maybe we'll have another conversation at 100, I don't know.
Which brings me to, how on earth do you come up with these murders? Is this out of the brain of Tim Balme, or do you look at real life, or do you get some people write in their sort of quirky, kooky ideas?
A lot. The ideas, they I'm not worried about that. And yes, a lot of them come out of my brain. I have other great writers that I work with who offer up ideas, and we discuss them and pursue them. A lot of it does come from real life. I mean, there are things in Brokenwood that may seem absurd, but they happen to you. One of them was we were doing an episode where someone they were trying to load a casket into this hearse, and the back door of the hearse wouldn't open because the guy had run the battery flat on the hearse or something. So it was a comedic moment. But this happened to me with my mother. And I remember standing there holding the coffin with my mother and going, and obviously the undertaker was really embarrassed because it was like, it's not a good look, is it? Can't get the thing open. Have to switch to manual, get the old crank out. And I just remember standing there, obviously grief-stricken with my mum, but also going, I think this will go in Brokenwood. Yeah, we'll find a place for this.
Excellent.
And I know that, and having said that, because that probably sounds terrible, but I know that she would have laughed too.
Oh, she would have. She'd be so proud. When are we going to see you in one of these Brokenwood
Well,
episodes?
I have made a pledge that I will write a role for myself when I know it's the last episode. And so if you did happen to see me in an episode of Brokenwood, you'll probably go, oh, I don't think there'll be another one next week.
I look forward to that. I'm going to have to wait for another 50 episodes for that to come up.
10 years.
Now, you famously played Greg Feeney on Shortland Street, and obviously the news of Shortland Street going back from 5 down to 3 episodes. What's your take on that? Is it a worry or is it survival? How are you feeling?
Well, it's just another sign of the times, of the pressure that the industry is under in terms of, the fiscal reality of the way programs are funded. So Shortland Street is obviously locally funded through advertising. It's primarily for a New Zealand audience, and TVNZ have said, look, we can't afford as much as we did before. And I look at that and go, well, better three nights a week than none, right? So I think they will just adapt, and the audience will adapt too. And those that are loyal followers of the show will learn to enjoy 3 nights a week and not 5. It's just adapting to change, and that's the best way of looking at it. I have a lot of friends and colleagues that obviously work on the show, and it's been this way for 30 years. 34 years, I think. But things change, and as I say, I think everyone's would far rather it's 3 nights a week than none.
Have they knocked on your door at all and said, help? Or any of the producers to say, what the hell is your secret to success? And can we please have a bit of it?
Well, I think, as I said before, there's no secret other than we made a show that a lot of people around the world wanted to buy and enjoy for their market. So that's the secret. If you can make something that translates around the world, there's a big market out there, and bigger. It's because it's growing all the time. That's the weird thing with all the streamers and stuff. There's a insatiable appetite for product. It just has to be a product that people want.
And you are weirdly boosting our tourism, because I understand fans are flocking here for a bit of Brokenwood. Talk us through it.
That is really crazy. So we have a lot of people, and I mean a lot, that fly their way out to New Zealand because a lot of them are from the UK, and they go, I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. Now I'm going to justify going to New Zealand so I can visit Brokenwood, because they think it's a place, which is always a little bit disappointing. It's not a real place, but anyway, they find all the locations that we use, and they do selfies outside, and they post them on the fan sites, and it happens a lot. But the crazy thing is, they find locations that I can't even tell you where they are because it was such a long time ago, and they've I don't know how they do it, but with GPS and Google and that, they can find a sign in the back of a shot and go and then find it on Google Earth and turn up in the middle of Huapai saying, oh, this is where they did the Santa Parade. And I'm going, oh, I'd forgotten that it was Huapai, but yeah, well done.
I love that. I want to know, where is Brokenwood? As in, I know it's in your imagination, but where is it in your imagination?
In my imagination, when I was putting it together, I went, because I grew up in Tauranga in the last century, and when Tauranga was a much smaller place, so I always had that size in my mind, but even smaller than that. So I located it in my head sort of 2 hours north of Auckland, between the coasts, which is probably somewhere like Kawakawa or Kaikoui or something like that. I don't know. But it needed to be a couple of hours from Auckland, and it needed to be in a geography that we could, because we borrow geography all around Auckland to put it together as a sort of composite. But also, when we were designing the police station, which is one of the great sets of New Zealand television, I think, it's a triumph. It's been standing there for 11 years, and the designer of that, he really knocked it out of the park. Because I remember walking in there going, I've been on a lot of sets as an actor for South Pacific Pictures over the years and other shows, other companies, and I walked in and went, this is the best set I've ever been in, because it felt really solid and it had this gravitas, and he had modelled it on police stations of old, that had been set up in the provinces and are still there. So when I had my So I consult with a retired detective inspector, a guy called Stu Wilden, fantastic guy. He's been working with me the whole show. So he reads the scripts and tells me what's absolutely ridiculous or what could be said better in terms of police procedural stuff. And I took him for a tour on the set and he went, whoa, I feel like I'm standing in Masterton. Yeah, so it was like the police station from Masterton, which again would be a kind of comparable size, I think, Masterton maybe.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm going to say congratulations to you, because to have 10 seasons already aired, working on number 11, 150 countries, employing so many good Kiwis. My final question to you is, after all of this, could you commit the perfect murder?
Oh, I'd give it a good go. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, as people joke, they say, you really don't want to check Tim Balme's Google history because it would be very incriminating what you have to look up to figure out things and go, how did... But yeah, yeah, it's a terrible thing to take pride in, isn't it? But I'd give it a go. The thing about each Brokenwood episode is the person that's perpetrated the crime, the murder, they always make some mistake, right? So you have to write that mistake for them to get caught. So it's just a case of just not writing that mistake.
That's all for this week. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. Thank you to Tim Balme. This episode was produced by Alexia Russell and engineered by Alex Harmer. I'm Amanda Gillies. Matua.